It is the largest active volcano on the face of the Earth, a mountain so vast that it makes up a huge portion of an entire island, rising from the depths of the ocean floor to tower above the Hawaiian landscape. Its bulk so enormous and so heavy that it is difficult to comprehend. This is Mauna Loa, a true giant among volcanoes, a mountain whose sheer size dwarfs almost anything else on the planet, and it is not extinct or dormant but active, a living volcano with a long history of eruptions and the potential for many more. And now that colossal mountain has stirred, showing signs of the activity that reminds everyone that beneath its immense and seemingly permanent bulk, powerful forces are at work. Mauna Loa has stirred, and for the people of the island who live in the shadow of the great volcano, in the path of the lava flows, it can produce the question is urgent and unavoidable. Which towns would be threatened first, and go under the lava first, if the giant were to erupt in earnest and send its flows down toward the inhabited coast? In this video, we are going to explore what the stirring of the great volcano means, and why Mauna Loa is so remarkable and so dangerous. We are going to understand what the volcano actually is. The largest active volcano on Earth, a colossal shield built by countless outpourings of lava. We are going to explain its primary hazard, the lava flows that can travel down its vast slopes toward the communities below, and how the zones where eruptions occur determine which way the lava goes. We are going to look carefully and honestly at what the stirring does and does not signify, resisting both false alarm and complacency. We are going to consider which towns would be threatened first, depending on where an eruption occurred, the nature of the lava flow hazard, and why it threatens property more than life, and the history that proves the danger is real. And we are going to reflect on what it means to live on the largest active volcano on Earth. Stay with us, because this is a story about a magnificent and dangerous giant, and the moment it reminded everyone that it is still very much alive. To understand the significance of this, you first have to understand what Mauna Loa is, and why it is so remarkable and so dangerous. Mauna Loa is the largest active volcano on Earth, a shield volcano of enormous size, built up over a very long time by countless eruptions of lava that have flowed out and accumulated to form the vast mountain. Unlike the steep, cone-shaped volcanoes that produce violent, explosive eruptions, Mauna Loa is a broad, gently sloping mountain, built by the outpouring of fluid lava that flows out and spreads across the landscape. Its eruptions are typically not explosive in the catastrophic way of some other volcanoes, but instead involve the effusion of lava, the flowing out of molten rock, that can travel across the landscape, and it is this lava and the flows it produces that constitute the primary hazard that Mauna Loa poses to the people who live around it. The lava flows are the key to understanding the danger of Mauna Loa, because when the volcano erupts, it can send rivers of molten rock flowing down its slopes, and these flows can travel considerable distances, reaching into the areas where people live. The lava that Mauna Loa produces is relatively fluid, allowing it to flow across the landscape, and depending on where an eruption occurs on the volcano and how much lava is produced, the flows can travel down toward the populated areas, threatening the towns and communities in their path. This is the crux of the danger, the way that an eruption of Mauna Loa can send lava flowing down toward the inhabited areas, and it is the reason that the stirring of the volcano raises the urgent question of which towns would be threatened first if the lava began to flow. Now, into this situation, comes the news that Mauna Loa has stirred, showing signs of activity that draw attention to its status as an active volcano. When a volcano like Mauna Loa stirs, it may show various signs, including earthquakes beneath the mountain, changes in the shape of the volcano as material moves beneath it, and other indications of the movement of molten rock below the surface. Mauna Loa experiences periods of increased activity from time to time, reflecting the ongoing processes beneath the great mountain. And such stirring is a reminder that the volcano is alive and that the potential for future eruptions, while not necessarily imminent, is real and ever-present. The stirring of the giant is exactly the kind of event that draws attention to the hazard and prompts a renewed awareness of the danger that the volcano poses to the island. It is important to be clear and measured about what the stirring of the volcano means, because it is easy to leap to alarming conclusions, and the reality is more nuanced. The signs of activity at a volcano, including earthquakes and changes in the shape of the mountain, do not necessarily mean that an eruption is imminent or even likely in the near future. Volcanoes show signs of activity for various reasons, and periods of heightened activity do not always lead to eruptions. The movement of molten rock beneath the mountain, the adjustments of the volcano's structure, and various other processes can produce the signs of stirring without any eruption resulting. So the stirring of Mauna Loa is not, by itself, a sign that the volcano is about to erupt, and it is important not to overstate the immediate danger or to spread unwarranted alarm. The scientists who monitor the mountain watch these signs carefully, but the stirring alone is not a prediction of an imminent eruption. At the same time, it would be a mistake to dismiss the stirring as meaningless, because it is exactly the kind of event that warrants attention, a reminder that Mauna Loa is an active volcano with the potential for future eruption and the lava flows that come with it. A period of heightened activity is a notable event, and while it does not predict an eruption, it does underscore that the volcano is alive, that forces are at work beneath it, and that the danger it poses is real. The stirring is a wake-up call of sorts, a moment that draws attention to a hazard that is easy to forget during the long quiet periods, a reminder that the vast mountain that dominates the island is an active volcano that could at some point erupt and send lava flowing toward the populated areas. And it is a prompt to consider the sobering question of which towns would be threatened first if the giant were to erupt. To understand which towns would be threatened first, you'd have to understand how the lava flows from Mauna Loa behave and where they would go, because the path of the lava determines which communities are in danger. When Mauna Loa erupts, the location of the eruption on the volcano and the direction of the slopes determine which way the lava will flow. The volcano has zones along which eruptions tend to occur, and depending on which of these zones is active in a given eruption, the lava can flow in different directions, toward different parts of the island and different communities. This is a crucial point, because it means that the danger to any particular town depends on where the eruption occurs and which way the lava flows, and different eruptions can threaten different areas. The question of which towns would go first then depends on the specifics of the eruption, on where the lava emerges, and which way it travels down the vast slopes of the mountain. The areas most at risk from Mauna Loa's lava flows are those that lie downslope from the zones where eruptions tend to occur, in the paths that the lava would follow as it flowed down the mountain toward the sea. On one side of the volcano, the lava flows from certain eruptions could travel down toward a major population center on the island, a city that has, in the past, been threatened by the advance of lava from Mauna Loa. This city, situated downslope from the volcano, is one of the areas most prominently at risk because lava flows from eruptions in certain zones of the mountain could travel down toward it, threatening the community with the advance of the molten rock. The history of the volcano includes instances in which lava flows advance toward this city, coming close enough to cause serious concern, and it remains one of the areas most at risk from a future eruption that sent lava flowing in that direction. On other sides of the volcano, the lava flows from eruptions in different zones could threaten other communities, the towns and settlements that lie downslope in various directions from the Great Mountain. Depending on where an eruption occurs, the lava could flow toward different populated areas, threatening whichever communities lie in the path of the particular flow. There are communities on various sides of the volcano, in the areas downslope from the different eruptive zones, and each of these could be threatened by an eruption that sent lava flowing in its direction. The towns that would go first, therefore, are those that lie in the path of the lava from whatever eruption occurs. And because eruptions can occur in different zones and send lava in different directions, the specific towns at greatest risk depend on the specifics of the event. The population centers and the communities downslope from the volcano's eruptive zones are the ones most prominently at risk. The towns that would face the advance of the lava first if an eruption sent the flows toward them. It is worth understanding these eruptive zones more closely, because they are the key to predicting where the danger would fall. Mauna Loa has, in addition to its summit, elongated zones running down its flanks along which eruptions frequently occur, the places where the molten rock tends to find its way to the surface. These zones extend in different directions from the volcano, and an eruption along one of them would send lava flowing down the slopes on that side of the mountain, toward whatever lies below in that direction. An eruption high on the volcano or at its summit might send lava in one direction, while an eruption lower down one of the zones might send it in another toward different communities. This is why the danger to any particular town is not fixed, but depends on the specific eruption, on which zone becomes active, and where along it the lava emerges. Understanding these zones, and the areas that lie downslope from each of them, is how the scientists and the authorities assess which communities are at risk from a given eruption, and it is why the same volcano can threaten different towns in different eruptions. One of the directions in which the lava can flow leads toward the largest population center on that side of the island, and this is the scenario that has historically caused the greatest concern. In the past, eruptions have sent lava flowing down the slopes toward the city, the molten rock advancing across the landscape and approaching the community, coming close enough to threaten it before the eruption ended and the flow stopped. The prospect of a lava flow reaching this city is one of the most serious concerns associated with Mauna Loa, because it would threaten a substantial population center with the advance of the molten rock, potentially destroying homes and infrastructure in its path. The history of the volcano includes these close calls, these instances in which the lava advanced toward the city and caused serious alarm. And they are a reminder that the threat to the major population center is real and has nearly materialized before. This is the scenario that looms largest in the concerns about Mauna Loa, the possibility of a lava flow reaching the city on that side of the island. In other directions, the lava can flow towards smaller communities and settlements, the towns and developed areas that lie downslope from the other eruptive zones of the volcano. These communities, scattered around the flanks of the Great Mountain, would each be threatened by an eruption that sent lava flowing in their direction. And while they may be smaller than the major city, the threat to them is no less real for the people who live there. An eruption along one of these zones could send lava toward these communities, threatening the homes and the developed areas with the advance of the molten rock. The variety of the communities around the volcano, in the different directions that the lava can flow, means that the danger is distributed around the mountain, and that different eruptions would threaten different areas, so that no single town is always the one at greatest risk, but rather the risk shifts depending on where the eruption occurs and which way the lava flows. It is worth understanding the nature of the threat that lava flows pose, because it is different in important ways from other volcanic hazards. Lava flows are, in one sense, less immediately deadly than some other volcanic hazards, because they typically move slowly enough that people can usually get out of the way, avoiding the direct threat to life that faster-moving hazards pose. Unlike the fast-moving flows of superheated gas that some explosive volcanoes produce, or the sudden mud flows that can race down other volcanoes, the lava flows from Mauna Loa generally advance at a pace that allows people to evacuate ahead of them, reducing the direct threat to human life. But this does not mean that lava flows are not dangerous or destructive, because while people can often escape them, the lava destroys everything in its path, burning and burying whatever it reaches, so that the threat is primarily to property and to the communities and infrastructure in the path of the flow rather than to life directly. The destructive power of the lava flows is immense because the molten rock destroys whatever it encounters, burning homes and buildings, burying roads and infrastructure, and covering the landscape with rock. When a lava flow advances toward a town, it can destroy the community in its path, consuming the homes and the businesses and the infrastructure, leaving behind a landscape of hardened rock where the community once stood. The people can usually escape, but their homes and their possessions and their livelihoods may be destroyed, and the community may be devastated. This is the nature of the threat that Mauna Loa's lava flows pose, a threat primarily to property and place rather than to life directly, but a threat that can nonetheless be devastating, destroying the homes and the communities in the path of the advancing lava. The slow-moving nature of the lava flows also means that there is often time to respond, to evacuate the areas in the path, and to take measures to protect what can be protected. And this is an important aspect of the hazard. Because the lava typically advances at a pace that can be tracked and predicted, the authorities can often provide warning of the threat, monitoring the advance of the flow, and alerting the communities in its path, giving people time to evacuate and to prepare. This ability to track and predict the advance of the lava is a crucial part of managing the hazard, allowing for orderly evacuations and reducing the threat to life. But while the lava can be tracked and the people can be warned, the flow itself often cannot be stopped, and so the communities in its path may still lose their homes and their infrastructure even as the people escape. The slow advance of the lava provides time to save lives, but not always to save the places that the lava consumes. There is another hazard associated with the eruptions of Mauna Loa that deserves mention, one that can affect a much wider area than the lava flows themselves, and that is the volcanic gas and haze that an eruption produces. When the volcano erupts, it releases gases into the air, and these gases can combine with the atmosphere to form a haze that can spread across the island and beyond, affecting the air quality over a wide area. This volcanic haze can pose health concerns, particularly for those with respiratory conditions, and it can affect people far from the lava flows themselves, extending the reach of the eruption's effects across the island. So while the lava flows threaten the specific communities in their path, the volcanic haze can affect a much broader population, adding another dimension to the hazard that an eruption of Mauna Loa would pose. This is a reminder that the effects of an eruption are not limited to the direct path of the lava, but can extend, through the air, across a much wider region. There is also the speed at which events could unfold to consider, because while the lava flows themselves generally move slowly enough to allow escape, the onset of an eruption can be relatively sudden, and the situation can develop quickly once the volcano becomes active. An eruption of Mauna Loa can begin with a period of increasing activity, the earthquakes and the other signs building as the eruption approaches, and then the eruption itself can commence, the lava beginning to emerge and to flow. Once the eruption begins, the situation can evolve rapidly, with the lava emerging and beginning its advance, and the communities in the potential paths needing to respond to the developing situation. This is why the monitoring and the warning are so important, because they provide the crucial early notice that allows the people to prepare and to respond as the eruption develops, giving them the time they need to evacuate ahead of the advancing lava. Given all of this, the stirring of Mauna Loa is a reminder of the hazard that the great volcano poses, and a prompt to consider the preparedness of the communities in the potential paths of the lava. The people who live downslope from the volcano, in the areas that lava flows could reach, need to be aware of the danger, to understand the hazard, and to be prepared to respond if an eruption occurs and the lava begins to flow toward them. This preparedness includes understanding the evacuation routes, staying informed about the status of the volcano, and being ready to act if a warning is issued. The stirring of the volcano serves as a reminder of the importance of this preparedness, a prompt to renew the awareness and the readiness of the communities in the potential paths of the lava, so that if the giant does erupt, the people will be prepared to respond and to protect themselves and what they can. It is worth reflecting on the extraordinary situation of a large population living on and around the largest active volcano on Earth, because it speaks to the human relationship with these great and dangerous mountains. The island that Mauna Loa dominates is home to a substantial population, and many people live on the slopes and around the base of the great volcano in the areas that its eruptions and lava flows could affect. These people live with the volcano as a constant presence, a magnificent and defining feature of their island, and also a potential danger, a living volcano that could erupt and send lava flowing toward their communities. This is the reality of life on a volcanic island. The way that the volcano is both the creator of the land, the very thing that built the island, and a potential threat to the people who live on it. The stirring of Mauna Loa is a reminder of this dual nature, the way that the great volcano is both the foundation of the island and a hazard to those who live there. The history of Mauna Loa's eruptions demonstrates that the hazard is real and recurring, because the volcano has erupted many times, sending lava flowing down its slopes on numerous occasions, and the evidence of these past eruptions is written across the landscape of the island. The volcano is one of the most active on Earth, having erupted frequently over its history, and the lava flows from these past eruptions have shaped the landscape, covered vast areas, and at times threatened the communities on the island. This history makes clear that the eruptions and the lava flows are a regular feature of the volcano's behavior, not a rare or theoretical possibility, and that the danger they pose is genuine and ongoing. The geologic record and the historical record together testify to the reality of the hazard, and to the certainty that Mauna Loa will erupt again, sending lava flowing down its slopes at some point in the future. Because Mauna Loa has erupted so many times, and because its eruptions are relatively well understood, the scientists who monitor the volcano have a good understanding of its behavior and its hazards, and this understanding is a crucial asset in managing the danger. The monitoring of the volcano allows the sciences to track its activity, to recognize the signs of a building eruption, and to provide warning when an eruption may be approaching, giving the communities and the potential paths of the lava time to prepare. This monitoring is a vital part of living safely with the great volcano, providing the information needed to respond to the hazard and to protect the people in its path. The stirring of the volcano that has now drawn attention is precisely the kind of activity that the monitoring is designed to detect, and the ability of the scientists to watch the volcano and to warn of a building eruption is one of the most important protections that the communities on the island have. What should the people of the island and those who follow the news of the volcano take from the stirring of Mauna Loa? The most important response is not panic, but preparedness, an informed awareness of the hazard combined with the readiness to respond if an eruption occurs. For the people living in the potential paths of the lava, this means understanding the danger, knowing the evacuation routes, staying informed about the status of the volcano, and being ready to act if a warning is issued. It means taking the hazard seriously, without living in constant fear, and paying attention to the guidance of the scientists and the authorities who monitor the volcano and manage the response. For everyone else, it means understanding that the danger is real, that the monitoring and the preparedness are important, and that the great volcano, for all its beauty and its role as the foundation of the island, is also a hazard that must be respected. The stirring is a moment to reflect on these things, to renew the awareness of the hazard, and to appreciate the importance of the monitoring and the preparedness that keep the people safe. In the end, the story of the stirring of Mauna Loa is a story about the largest active volcano on Earth, a colossal mountain that is both the foundation of a Hawaiian island and a potential threat to the people who live on it. The stirring is not a prediction of an imminent eruption, and it is important not to overstate the immediate danger, but it is a powerful reminder of the hazard that the great volcano poses. A signal that the giant is alive and that the threat of its lava flows is real and ever-present. The towns and communities downslope from the volcano, in the potential paths of the lava, are the ones that would be threatened first if the giant were to erupt and send its flows toward them. And the specific towns at greatest risk would depend on where the eruption occurred and which way the lava flowed. The stirring brings this danger back into focus, and in doing so, it serves a valuable purpose, reminding everyone of the hazard, and prompting the vigilance and the preparedness that are the best defense against the day when the great volcano erupts in earnest. Mauna Loa has spoken. In the language of the signs it shows, and what it is saying is that it is still alive, still active, still capable of the eruptions that have shaped the island over its long history. The people who live in the shadow of the giant, in the paths that its lava could follow, would do well to heed that reminder, to renew their awareness of the hazard and their readiness to respond. Not with fear, but with the sensible preparedness that living on an active volcano warrants. The mountain has stirred, the danger has been brought into focus, and the time to be prepared is always now before the giant erupts in earnest, so that if the day comes when the lava begins to flow toward the communities, the people will be ready to respond and to protect themselves in what they can. Mauna Loa is the largest active volcano on Earth, a magnificent and dangerous giant. And its stirring is a reminder that the beauty and the danger are forever intertwined, and that respect and preparedness are the wisest response to living in the shadow of the great mountain. The largest volcano on Earth is a presence that dominates its island, a foundation and a hazard, a wonder and a danger, and its stirring is a reminder of the awesome power that lies beneath its vast and seemingly permanent bulk. The towns that would go first, the communities downslope from the volcano in the paths of the potential lava flows, are a reminder of the stakes, of what is at risk if the giant erupts, and of the importance of the vigilance and the preparedness that protect the people who live in the shadow of the great mountain. And the story ends, as it should, with the recognition that the volcano is monitored, that the people can be warned, and that the hazard, while real and serious, can be managed through the awareness and the preparedness and the careful watching of the great giant, so that the people of the island can continue to live safely in the shadow of the largest volcano on Earth, respecting its power and preparing